Hi everyone, welcome to our second education podcast. Um, this one is going to be how to navigate all social events because we all know like that can be quite difficult, whatever journey you're on. Um, I'm just going to go into why social events are still important. Um, they're so important because as humans we're social creatures and we crave like meaningful connections, and it brings us together, a sense of belonging, community, and it's actually a chance to kind of catch up with loved ones or catch up with friends and family that you don't usually see on occasion. And also it's just to reminisce and also to have a good laugh. So we definitely shouldn't miss them. Jamie, what would you say to someone that keeps missing social events because they're really worried it'll ruin their progress or ruin their journey?
But yeah, so it purely depends on where they're at with their relationship with food. Like, that's hard to know without the person themselves and their background and relationship with food. But I think my biggest recommendation would be pre preparing for it. Speak to your coach about accountability for it. I think if you go into that event prepared mentally, whether it be a picnic at the park or whether it be a wedding or something like that, if you go with a plan, whether you stick to that plan, to a T, or you kind of, navigate around it mentally, going with a plan, you will feel so much more secure. So that might be a plan for your breakfast that's maybe changed a little bit on that said day. It might be that you're going to take your own food so you feel accountable. I've done that numerous of times,
Mm,
especially like if I'm going to, I don't know, we're all having a takeaway and someone wants Indian or Chinese or something like that. They're not really my kind of preference of food. So I might take my own. It might be that everyone's having pizzas. I might take pizza wraps and make my own. And 9 times out of 10, wherever I've done that and taken my own food, people are always envious of it. They're like, oh, yours looks nice. Oh, I wish I brought my own food. I wanted to
mm,
say, I'm working on doing what I'm doing. Also as well, if people are ordering or delivering, it takes absolutely ages. So you can have your food, because you've already got it. I think speaking about it, going with a plan of action, and if you are missing out on social events, you're missing out on memories, you're missing out on connecting. And even if you go and you don't want to eat because you've already had all your meals, then take ownership of, yeah, I'll happily come along, but I'm just going to have Diet Coke, and I'll just, be there for the conversation. I've done that many a time when I've not wanted to drink. I'm like, yeah, yeah, I'll come out and I'll stay out till midnight, whatever. But I'm not gonna drink, and just set the bar um before you go to the event so you don't get that peer pressure. So yeah, they're my tips. Got loads of tips on this one.
mm. That's really important though, isn't it? Because it's just setting boundaries, and some people don't understand boundaries. So it's overcoming the people that kind of question why you're setting those boundaries in the first place, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, my question to you would be, what do you struggle with when going to social events? And how did you overcome them?
So this one's really interesting actually because my I'm going back to my weight loss journey in 2021 when it all started. I was quite lucky in a sense that it happened in lockdown, so I didn't have the temptation of any like social events. So I didn't know how to handle them. until we started opening up again. And that was really tough because I was just like, whoa, I've kind of been on my strict meal plan for God knows how long because didn't have any of the temptations. And then all of a sudden, these social events started happening again. I was like, oh my God, like, what do I do? Because now I don't particularly want to drink and get absolutely wasted. I want to enjoy like having a few glasses of Prosecco. So yeah, it was my struggle of my first thought of being like, oh my God, what the hell do I do? And luckily I had a coach at the time and kind of helped navigated that. So it was more so of like it depends what social event it was, but it was mostly kind of eating out around that time. Um, so eating out, it's sometimes like I would have a look at the menu it beforehand and just kind of planning within my allowance for that day, for example, and just fitting in things there. And I had a friend at the time who was also on the same journey as me. So what we would do, and also you can just kind of ask your friends and family if they want to share a portion of chips and halve it with you, and then order a side salad and halve that salad with you. So then, you're kind of keeping that balance. And that's quite nice to do if you've got people that are willing to share. And obviously, some people don't want to share their food, and that is absolutely fine. So yeah, I think my overcoming of that now I find it a lot easier because I've had more of those social events. But it's again, it's very similar to you where there have been times where I've taken my own dinner because I'm like, if I'm on this journey, I'll take my own dinner if you're having a takeaway, because sometimes the takeaways just it wasn't what I fancied. It wasn't something I would choose. So I'm like, okay, I'll do the tortilla pizzas because I bloody love them. They're actually really good and really nice. So I'll do the tortilla pizzas or just take my own dinner that I had on, that I've already prepped for myself that day. Um, so that's how I kind of like, overcame the struggles with social events, is just, planning in advance, having a look at the menus if you can. And sometimes it's not possible to even look at the menus. So it's just but just by being mindful about what you're eating.
Yeah.
So having that mindset will really, really help you with um making those choices. So even now, I still, if I go out for dinner and I just kind of, and sometimes it's spontaneous, and we love spontaneity. And if it's spontaneous, I'll kind of be like, right, okay, so where can I get my veggies in? Where is my protein? And then fit everything else around that. So
Mhm.
yeah, my top tip is being completely mindful when you're going out. And in regards to alcohol as well, like drinking, I used to be a massive drinker, and now I'm like, I can quite happily enjoy 2 glasses of Prosecco and like savor it as well, and not have the fear, not have the anxiety the next morning, and just being a lot more fresher in the morning. And I just kind of really um lent into that feeling of, oh my gosh, like I can actually get up in the morning and go for a nice walk. Still having a nice time that evening with friends and family, or whatever social event it may be. And don't get me wrong, there are times like, there's a bottomless brunch and stuff, and you do have a bit of a blowout. But I'm still quite mindful about what food I have as well. So yeah, I think my top tip there is 100% being completely mindful of your plate when you go out if it's something to eat.
Definitely. I think just being happy with your choices when you go to bed that evening, to be like, yeah, I'm okay with that, rather than when you're picking and eating and you're already thought full. I think that's where you can say to yourself, right, okay, how am I going to feel, about those choices? Am I going to be happy if I stop now? And, being mindful and not going down that road where you end up in sodit mode and
Yeah.
kind of really uncomfortable, bloated. Try and stop yourself before that point. And you have to go back a few times, and you do make some whoopsie daisies and feel crap, and then that's another learning point, and then you jump back on it, and then you do better the following time at the social event. And the more you get into the habit of being happy with the choices that you've made, whether it be in sharing portions or taking your own food or prepping, looking for the menus beforehand, just having your own checkpoint, really. So, yeah, perfect.
Yeah, definitely agree. What would be your top tips then for anyone that's kind of listening to this and thinking, oh, I've got a social event next week?
Yeah, definitely. So, my top tips would be definitely check the menus beforehand so you know exactly what you're gonna have and you don't need to sit and look at the menu because when you're hungry and you go in and someone's having this, someone's having that, and you're like, oh, I don't know what to do.
Food envy.
Yeah, if you go into it already knowing, right, I'm having this, yeah, waiter comes over, I'm hungry, sh straight knowing what you're getting, no conflict. Or you might even have a conversation with your partner or your friend or whoever and be like, you have that, I'll have this, we'll half, so you both know what you're doing. If you can't do that and can't check the menu, I would say definitely don't starve yourself before that event. A lot of people hold
100%.
back and they go into events too hungry. Then you make ravenous decisions and go into that sodic mode because your inner chimp is just like, I want food and I want it now. You're eating lectin foods, you're gonna be, adding to that dopamine, it wants more, more, more. So I definitely say, for example, I went to a wedding, 3-course meal, but very back end of the day. So I was there with my little clutch bag, had a protein bar, some snacks and whatever in it, and everyone else was absolutely starving all day. So I mean, I did share, but when they got to the evening meal, you get that bloated, toxic, chemical feeling in your belly because your body's got to then break down loads of food all at once. But because I'd not gone into that meal starving, when everyone else is like, where's the food? I was okay. So definitely don't go into it starving. Sometimes even on a night out, like there's always like a little Spar or a little mini Tesco, and I go grab something from there or whatever, just to keep me topped up. And then, like you said, eating intuitively, allowing myself to sit with food in front of me, which is definitely hard to do sometimes, but being proud of yourself of leaving food on the plate. You're not a human dustbin.
Mm,
You can leave food on the plate. That's definitely something if you're in a hormonal situation that can be hard, but the more you practice with it, the better you'll get.
mm-hmm.
So practice. But yeah, they're my tips.
What would be your kind of like top takeout that you would have while still being mindful?
Oh, good question. Do you know what? We never have takeaways, and that sounds we
They're
if
too
we're gonna
expensive
eat,
anyway.
we'll probably go and eat out. We don't really order in, but if we was to order in, I'd probably go for a chicken kebab, no sauce, extra salad, and I would probably half the chicken and save the chicken to have because you get quite a lot. Well, we do where we would order from. I know that from when I've ordered there before, and I'd half the chicken and have that for tomorrow in another wrap or something. And then I'd probably pinch a few of my partner's chips or whatever. But yeah, that would probably be my mindful option. If I was to go for an Indian, I would have a starter and extra salad. And then I pinch a little bit of the sauces of whoever's I want to try.
As
Have a
if they
little
share.
tablespoon of anything that's going. I do like the poppadom trays, actually. They're quite nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I quite like the starters. I'm not a overly saucy person, so that does all right with me. No onions. I'm definitely no onions. They don't sit right with me, but obviously they do with some people. But yeah, onions don't sit right with me. What else would I have? Yeah, I think that's about it. Um, Yeah.
I love it. I have like a go-to, like if I was to have a takeaway, I have a go-to takeaway. And around here it's burrito and tequila. I don't order the tequila, obviously, on my own on a Saturday night. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, it's called burrito and tequila. And I usually kind of stick to the kind of same thing. And it's usually like a fajita quesadilla with potato wedges. And the potato wedges pot, there's like loads that come with it. So I would probably just save half for like for the next day. But like a quesadilla, you can't really go wrong with. But that would be
Yeah.
my like my go-to takeaway if I have one. And
We
probably
don't really. You have loads of exciting takeaways. I know when I came down to London, I tried somewhere called Greek something, and that was lovely because I love Greek food. But I live in a
love
real
Greek.
small area, and we don't have all the crazy like takeaways. It's just literally like Indian, Chinese, kebab, pizza, um, anything that's like more. I don't know, Moroccan, Greek, like it's more of an eat-in place.
Yeah,
We have to go out and eat. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
making me hungry now.
Um, yeah, I know I've got like a few top tips as well. One thing is I swear by is prepare for the day after,
Mhm.
especially if you've been drinking the night before or the day before, because drinking alcohol really affects like it affects our sleep. And then if we don't get a good enough sleep, then it affects our decisions the next day, and we'll probably just kind of be like, whatever's convenient, because you're probably going to be slightly hungover. It depends how, different people take alcohol differently, but there's always kind of a slight chance of a slight hangover, and you're just going to not make the best decisions the day after. So I remember I like went for a brunch with one of my friends a few weekends ago, and had a really great time. But what I did is I prepped our dinner and we left it at hers. So by the time we come back about 6 o'clock, because that's the way to do it, got now, is to go out
Yeah,
day drinking. If you're gonna drink, do the day drinking, home by 6, bed by 9.
love that. Absolutely.
So yeah, I actually prepped our dinner because I said to her, I said, because we're going out drinking, do you mind if I prep our dinner for us? And I did like a homemade satay chicken, brought everything over to hers, and yeah, I was slightly tiddly, and I still cooked because I was like, I've got goals to reach. So yeah, it's prepping for even that day, whatever prep you can do that day and the day after. So I would make sure I prep my breakfast to kind of get me straight back on track the next day. So my breakfast will be already prepared, and I probably had planned out my lunch and dinner for the next day as well. Not necessarily prepared it, but just planned it so I know what I'm having. I know that I've got it in the fridge. It just needs to be cooked. Yeah, top tip: prepare for the day after, or prepare when you can. Um, Also with things like this is handling peer pressure. Um, which I find like there has been some events where I've been at, and it's kind of like, oh, why aren't you drinking, Kimberly? I'm just like, oh, I'm not feeling it. And they're like, oh, go on, have one, go on, have one. I'm like, not written, I'm okay, thank you, but I'm okay. And majority of people do understand. And some people may not understand it and really try and push you. But that's when you have to set your own boundaries, because you're on your own journey, whatever journey that may be, you are on your own journey. So it's just communicating that with the people that you're around, and setting those boundaries and explaining your why as well. Um, and then my next one is just kind of handling the setbacks, because sometimes there will be setbacks. Like we're not perfect, we are just human. We might have drunk a lot more the night before we might have done, or we might have eaten a lot more because I don't know, the wedding had like a massive buffet and a pizza van in the evening or whatever, and you're just in the moment and you're enjoying it, which is totally okay. But just handle the setbacks after, and how you handle those is, again, I think is down to mindset, and just sit with yourself sometimes, which is what I do. And it sounds crazy, but I do sometimes speak to myself in the mirror, and I just like sit there and I'm like, right, Kimberly, you had a great time yesterday, but what can we do differently today to our journey to get to our goals. So yeah, it was just handling those, those setbacks, because as I said, we aren't perfect. But yeah, those are my top three tips for
Yeah.
handling social events.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, definitely. I think, people listening will know this, or it's reminded them, or it's given them a little bit more of strength to do that or prepare or whatever. So yeah, I think it's super helpful to just have a reminder of you do you.
Yeah, because I think we can really get caught up in like, oh, what is that person doing that? And maybe I should try this. And we forget like our own why and why we're doing, you do you. Um, and I guess it's kind of like the fear of missing out as well, because everyone gets a bit of FOMO. Um, but it's just like drawing that back a bit and actually thinking, well, actually, what's working for me and what do I want to do? And the right people, if you have the right people around you, they will completely support you in you doing you.
Yeah,
So yeah, I agree with you. I love that saying, you do you,
I
because
do too.
it
Absolutely. Yeah.
I love it. um yeah, so some great top tips for hopefully for people to take away with them from here. And as ever, I've got another quote.
Love it.
So yeah, so it's just a reminder, really. It's just remember, social events are about connecting with others and having fun, and food is just one part of the experience. And by applying these top tips, you can navigate social gatherings confidently and healthily whilst enjoying the event, whatever event it is. So another thing for everyone to take away.
Yeah, perfect. Love that. And then we will have a new topic next week in our next episode. And yeah, be good.
Yeah, thanks for listening.